What's going on, guys? Skylord Studios 005 back here again, and today we have a review of the Sneak Attack Battle Set from Hasbro. This is like the big launch stadium for Year 3. I believe it's rumored that we're supposed to be getting a few more during Year 3. But to be quite honest, the launch of Year 3 is kind of insane, because if you go progression-wise from Takara Tomy, the launch of Year 3 released with Clock Mirage, stuff like Soul Eclipse, Wolf Hunt, Emperor Might, all that sort of stuff. And we have the Emperor Might deck set coming out. We have Ring Aether coming out, which is Heaven's Ring, which is like one of the last products for Year 3. Bahamut Blitz, which is a late Year 3 release. Night Fortress, Ragnar Rage, Meteor Dragoon, Pegasus Blast, which was end of Year 2, and we still don't have stuff like Tricerapress that has yet to release. We're just now getting Scorpio Sphere, so it seems like they're blending late Year 3 stuff with late Year 2 stuff. But and we did get a few leaks of what the next wave is going to be, and it's going to actually have some early, what seems to be Year 4 stuff. So the release schedule for Hasbro is kind of insane, and they're releasing newer Takara Tomy releases, but still haven't released the older ones. But yeah, so in the stadium set, you get two unique line Infinity Bays, being Cutter Shinobi and Rampart Aegis. So going over Cutter Shinobi, this is, now we don't really know if which one is a Hasbro exclusive and which one's not. They could both be Hasbro exclusives for all we know, but we'll see. So Cutter Shinobi is a right spinning attack type. And the gimmick is it's supposed to be a free spinning blade, but it doesn't spin freely. It like ratchets. So it can like slightly rotate back and forth, and then it gets like stuck in place and you have to ratchet it forward. The closest thing I can liken this is to the D gear from Dynamite Battle, where you go back and forth but not fully free spin. That was used to simulate the bound attack, but yeah, Shinobi's kind of an interesting choice in my opinion. I mean, it makes sense. This is a four-bladed shape, just like Knife Shinobi, but kind of an interesting one instead of, say, Whale or something like that. And the gimmick with UX Infinity releases is that they no longer have ratchets. So in lieu of having ratchets, they have more complicated gimmicks like this. And then they just have the bit, which this bit is low flat. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, and after the battles I'll give my full thoughts on it, but I think this has a lot of potential because it does have a decent weight. I think it's like 37 grams or something like that. Keep in mind, you do not have a ratchet, so you cannot buff the weight with like a 760. But it's very interesting for attack from what I've seen already. It almost seems more like a balance type, because when lined up right, this can scoop bays up and just hit them out of the stadium. And when it's attacking, when something's attacking it, it can deflect. When it fully rotates and it actually spins, it deflects the attack. However, when it doesn't and when it locks into place, it takes too much recoil and dies of stamina. So I think this blade's very interesting. The combos, I think low flat causes a lot of self KOs and doesn't really help. But in this particular stadium, it's pretty good. But in any other stadium, low flat on this is kind of a mistake. I do want to experiment with free flat, see how that goes, because I think that'd pair really well with the concept of attacking while still maintaining stamina after the attack that this blade has with the quote-unquote free spin attack ring. And I will note that this is a lot thicker than, say, Silver Wolf or Wolf Hunts, so it is more effective at dealing damage. And you can see the blade is actually sloped, allowing it to kind of scoop up other opponents' blades. Let me grab Wolf Hunt really quick to kind of show what I mean. But look at the comparison on the thickness of the rotation of the blade. So I do feel this is going to be a lot more effective than Wolf Hunts or Silver Wolves. So yeah. And then to be quite frank, I'm going to be honest with you guys, the selling point to the stadium to me is this next bay. And while it's not as, in my opinion, it's not as bad as people say, it's also not as good as I hoped it would be. And that is Rampart Aegis. So the reason why this bay sold me on the stadium So this is extremely similar, and it's not a confirmed burst homage, but to me, just like Bahamut Blitz is not a confirmed burst homage, this has got to be a burst homage. This is a homage, in my opinion. It's not confirmed, but if I were guessing, this is a homage back to Orb Aegis from Beyblade Burst, Turbo, or Cho-Z, whichever you call it. And Orb Aegis was such a funny release, guys, because the gimmick with it was that it had a suction cup on the driver, and it just would not move. Now, this Blade's gimmick is not that. Got to get rubber suction cup in the future as a bit instead of rubber Excel. But it does come on Gear Ball, and the gimmick is basically just Leon Crest 2, where it has these walls that help stabilize it and deflect attacks. Now, this blade is extremely light. Ghost Circle on 760 is, I think, heavier than this. I think it's like 32 grams total, but keep in mind, Ghost Circle by itself is like 29 grams. Then you add the 760 ratchet, and it's about the same. So, it's not very good. It's a relatively smaller release, so this to me is basically if you fused Leon Crest with Ghost Circle, that's basically what you get. However, I do think for pure defense and nothing else, this is actually a pretty good release, and it just tanks the hits, but then dies of stamina. And I do believe that it does do better in this stadium for one reason only, and that is this wall that the gimmick is, it stands itself back up, and it deflects hits. Basically, when it's going around here, it's going to deflect off this ridge and balance itself rather than just the straight up floor and just tilting and dying. So, yeah. But now that we talked about the bays, let's go over the actual gimmick of the stadium, because it can't be a Hasbro stand without having some sort of gimmick. So basically, this is another one of those permafused rails, but the gimmick is when you start the battle, you push this part in, you're going to go around, hit this button, and that's going to spring up the rail. So you're going to go around another time and then come off the rail. So to me, what this basically is it's an easier way, if you guys have seen the anime, it's an easier way to pull off the Dragonic Break special move where you go around twice. So you're supposed to speed up and go around a second time and then trigger the rail and then come off and attack. But also, side note, it does come with 2 black proto launchers, but I will not be using those because those are very difficult to use in my opinion. Let's get a test spin on Orb Aegis, or not Orb Aegis, a Rampart Aegis. 3, 2, 1, go. Shoot. And as you can see, it went up and around that area. And again, it's on Gear Ball, which does not have the greatest stamina, but for the gimmick that they have for Rampart Aegis, I think there's a bit that does it better and actually makes the gimmick function better, but we'll get to that later in the video. Now that that's done, here's a test spin of Cutter Shinobi. 3, 2, 1, go. Shoot. Again, low flat, very aggressive bit. Now, as you can see, it went around once and then triggered the stadium, and so it came off the rail. And now we're going to do a test battle between Cutter Shinobi and Rampart Aegis. So, resetting the stadium, you just push the button, you just push the rail down. That's all. Also, slight pocket additions that they made and changed is this is one big X rail pocket. It used to be an extreme finish with 2 other pockets, I believe, here, and then there was nothing else on this backside. Now the 2 knockout finish pockets are back here, so there's 3 knockout areas rather than the standard. I think they're differently placed. I think there was always that. I could be mistaken, but it's a different layout than most stadiums. So 3, 2, 1, go shoot. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. That is Cutter Shinobi, 3 out. And then 3, 2, 1, go shoot. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. That is Cutter Shinobi, 6 out. Alright, so now that we've done those battles, we are going to see individual battles of Cutter Shinobi versus Bahamut Blitz in the stadium. 3, 2, I'm gonna shoot. 3, 2, I'm gonna shoot. We're gonna reshoot that because it seems like they went out on their own at the same time. All right, so reshooting. 3, 2, I'm gonna shoot. 3, 2, I'm gonna shoot. And that is Cutter Shinobi 1-0. 3, 2, I'm gonna shoot. 3, 2, I'm gonna shoot. Cutter Shinobi 2-0. 3, 2, I'm gonna shoot. 3, 2, I'm gonna shoot. Again, as you can see, it just got hit with a full attack from behind the blitz. What would we call that, guys? That's interesting. We'll cover that in a second. But going back to what I was saying, it just got hit with a full attack from behind blitz, and the like little sub-plastic ring shifted, allowing it to conserve stamina. But now, let's ask, what is that finish? It's not in the pocket, but it's not in the stadium either. I personally am going to give it 3 points because there's no... It's just because of the size of the pocket. If it was slightly bigger, then it would have gone out. So that is 3 points to Cutter Shinobi, making it, I believe, 4 or 5. So the next battle we're going to have it face is going to be up against Meteor Dragoon. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. That is 3-0, Meteor Dragoon. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. That is 6-0, Meteor Dragoon. Alright, so next up for the final battle for Cutter Shinobi, we're going to have Cutter Shinobi versus Drawn Strike in the Infinity Stadium. So, 3, 2, 1, go shoot. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. We're going to reshoot that. So, 3, 2, 1, go shoot. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. And first finish for Cutter Shinobi. Okay, so moving on. I could not find my Drawn Strike layer. It is somewhere in my room, but I'll find it later. So we're going to move on to the Aegis Rampart battles, or the Rampart Aegis battles. Lost to Meteor Dragoon. For the most part, I'd consider that a win against Drawn Strike, considering it burst it. And it beat Bahamut Blitz. So the final battle we're going to use it for is going to be later on in the video. But we're going to change the bit on it and face it against Rampart Aegis with a different bit. So, yeah. Alright, so the first battle is going to be Rampart Aegis versus Ragnar Rage. So, 3, 2, 1, shoot. 3, 2, 1, shoot. That is 3-0, Rampart Aegis. 3, 2, 1, shoot. 3, 2, 1, shoot. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, go. Next up is going to be Night Fortress versus Rampart Aegis. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, go. That's Night Fortress 1-0. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1. That is Rampart Aegis, 1/1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And that is 3/1 Rampart Aegis. 3, 2, 1. Interesting. It hit the button and then it jumped up. That is Rampart Aegis' win. Alright, and so last battle for stock Rampart Aegis is going to be Rampart Aegis versus Mummy Curse. So 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. That is 2-0 Mummy Curse. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 5-0. Alright, so now the final battle will be Rampart Aegis versus Cutter Shinobi on the bits that I personally believe they should have come on, and bits that in my opinion make them significantly better. So first off, Cutter Shinobi, we're actually going to change the typing to balance. We're going to give it Zap because in my opinion it needs the wider base of Zap, as well as mixed with the defensive aspect of Zap where it goes on the ball, and then it can still attack with that point like ring around it. And then Aegis Rampart, Rampart Aegis, we're going to keep the gimmick still intact where it stabilizes. However, we're going to add a secondary layer of stabilization by giving it Wall Ball. So before it even gets to the point where it's going to tilt and scrape on the blade itself, causing significantly more loss of stamina, it's going to hit the bit on the stadium and then stabilize itself back up so it doesn't even need to use this wall. And the wall is still going to be used for defense. So let's see. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, go. That is 2-0 Cutter Shinobi. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1. That is Cutter Shinobi's win. So overall, what are my final thoughts on this Sneak Attack Stadium set? I think it's for casual fun. Really, I think it's more of a casual fun release, not competitive. I feel like Hasbro's doing a lot of that for the launch of year 3. There's not many competitive releases, more so fun releases. Like honestly, Ring Aether is not going to be super competitive. You guys just saw it really work with it. I think Aegis Rampart has some potential, but it's not going to be nearly as on the level of Wizard Rod. But I think it could be a good anti-meta pick if you really experiment with it and master it, but that's going to take a lot of work. Cutter Shinobi is probably the better of the two, simply because of weight and the gimmick. I think this is also going to be a pretty good anti-meta pick. I'm interested to see if this starts popping up in the meta when the stadium gets to more people and gets a more wide release. But comparing that to like Drawn Strike, it doesn't compare. Wizard Rod, it doesn't compare. You saw how Cutter Shinobi handled left spin bays with Meteor Lagoon. It couldn't really handle it. But one bit that I wanted to experiment with for Cutter Shinobi, and maybe this is like an idea if you guys get the opportunity to, or if you guys have both releases of Drawn Strike and Cutter Shinobi, is free flat. I think a mix of both the free spinning bit as well as the semi-free spin blade could make a pretty interesting pairing of a attacking anti-attack release. But what were your guys' thoughts? Did you guys like the stadium? Did you like the releases? Which one do you guys think is going to be the TT release, and which one's going to be the Hasbro release? There's a pretty convincing leak out there that Valor Bison's actually going to be the lottery prize instead of one of these two. because last year we had Hover Wyvern as the lottery prize, and that one was kind of more like the Hasbro exclusive. But I'm curious to see which one's more of the Hasbro exclusive. I personally, given the past track record, I would go with Cutter Shinobi, because Hover Wyvern was almost a Hasbro exclusive release of the Wyvern evolution. And it doesn't make sense for Takara Tomy to go back and evolve the Shinobi evolution, because its evolutions have all been bad. But I think Aegis Rampart would be the better release for Takara Tomy to do as an exclusive motif, or as a not Hasbro exclusive motif. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section down below. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.